Getting a free meal is never going to make you happy. Just hear my words. It may fill your stomach for a few hours, but it will never make you happy. So you might think, I'm struggling to start this new business. I'm in my 20s. I'm scared. But if you don't go on that path, your other option is to sit on the couch, get a free meal, and be on your phone and not ever really be happy. The happiness comes from taking the leap, believing in yourself, and looking back and seeing what you did. If you're 25 and you don't know what to do something. Get pride in it and happiness. Share it with another human. This will change your life. It is small, but I promise you this will change your life.
Are you here most of the year?
Moved here. Blaze sold me the house, and I'm never moving. Sorry, you're not for sale because I'm never moving. I am not moving.
I share with Jamie and Ryan how we met, and the call I get at 9:45 p.m. You remember?
That is a great story. You should give talks to high school students.
Yeah.
About how to grow a business. I mean, I was just this random person on a rental.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like,
On a rental, and nobody else was picking up the phone, and I did. At 9:45.
It sounds like from your perspective, but from my perspective, I had already worked with 3 brokers, and what I told them was, I'm 100% definitely moving. 100% you have to find me a place because I'm not moving.
Mm-hmm.
I had given, like, and you would think with statements like that.
Yeah. They will jump and do the work. No, I remember you shared with me that. And our common friend introduced us. It was amazing.
Did they ever buy?
He's still looking. New York, Naples. No, but
Blaze is fabulous.
Thank you, Dr. Gold. Well, you're extremely busy, and you have bigger fights to fight. But the cost of this podcast is, we don't charge for this. We share this for young kids can get good education and get the right knowledge, and that's why we put our time, effort, and energy to do this. And I really appreciate you being here. I know you're extremely busy. You can be anywhere. You can work, and do your thing and fight your fights. I really appreciate you being here, Dr. Gold. And this is our season 2, episode 1. Yes, and it's a huge honor that we have you here today.
Before we go,
sure.
What is, I'd like to ask, I learned this from a friend. What would be a win for you? Like, what is it that you are, like you said, is it kids that watch it? Like, what is
it's more for the young people that are watching on YouTube and the social media, young adults. Yes,
17 to 30.
17 to 30. It's our.
And so your purpose in doing the podcast is just so to get your name, your brand out there, people know who Blaze is, or because.
Great. Not necessarily. They will eventually figure out who I am.
Yeah.
The purpose is more for them to get the right information.
Fantastic. That's what you said.
It's really not about me or us or their business. It's about, there's so many. We're just talking about the programming and the algorithms. I believe, and I read about this. I don't know if it's nowadays. It's just tough to give an opinion because some people will judge you and some people will say, "Oh, it's right." I read somewhere and I sat on a couple tables that people have the same knowledge. The algorithms of Instagram, Facebook, the social medias. The algorithm is different in the United States than it is in Europe. And I'm from Europe originally, and I go there a couple times a year, and I can see the difference. And different in Asia and, China or Taiwan. Why is that? Yeah. Like, why here the kids, and I have a 9-year-old, Bella, you met my family. Why, I don't give her phone yet, but her friends are watching TikTok videos about somebody doing prank on their parents and how to throw a tennis ball in the toilet. Like, they're brainwashing our kids, the young generation in the United States of America, to become dumber. Yep. So why? They can control them?
We could go on about this all day long.
So why? I really want to...
They also, by the way, they actually give different food. I don't know if you know that.
I do.
Alfie talks about that.
Yeah.
They have different wheat that they use that the wheat that we use in America is illegal in almost 100%. The whole world.
Yeah.
How do you like that?
Well, I felt it. And when I talk to people that are born here, they're like, Blaze, you're crazy. I say, why? Just listen to me. I was in Italy for a month last year. I eat gluten every single day. And I don't eat gluten in the United States. I eat gluten every single day. Pasta, pizza, meatballs, the whole 9 yards. I lost weight.
So
I didn't gain a pound. When I'm here and I'm eating gluten, I feel depressed. Right away, I can instantly make
So by the way, just and then we got to go. But Alfie says that people who have like gluten problems have written to him in spades for years. There's no gluten problem with his wheat. He brings in wheat. He says he pays 300% more, and he gets it from I forget which nation. But he's had it genetically tested. It's different, and you don't have any gluten problems with his bread.
My wife only buys she buys bread from Seed to Table, and she knows I love the garlic bread he has there. It's unique. So and they have their own bakery. They do their own stuff.
I don't have any problem.
I buy meat from Alfie.
I think it's so interesting.
Yeah.
Like gross.
I love Alfie. He's next door. Let's crush it. Let's go for it. Dr. Gold, you're actively busy 7 days a week, and your schedule is insane. I mean, I've seen some of the action, and that's just a little tiny bit. How do you find the energy and the motivation to push forward besides all the obstacles you've been thrown?
Right. I love that question. So growing up, there was an expression in my home. My mom said, give a job to a busy person, which sounds paradoxical, right? But I think you live that way too. Yep. Honestly, the lazier you get, the lazier you feel. The busier you get, in a way, the more energy you feel. So even at this point in my life, I have essentially 3 full-time jobs. America's Frontline Doctors, Gold Care, and all this litigation I work on. I feel more energetic than ever. So I would say don't give in to your own human kind of laziness on a regular basis. You have to put it in your life. We all need downtime. But the lazier you act, the lazier you feel, the more energy and activities you do, the more energetic you'll feel.
I love that. And I relate to that as well.
Yeah.
I think it's so important. We're not made to be lazy.
No. Humans, and when I always look back to prior times, because, the time you're living in, we look around us and we think it's forever. But it's just the moment you're dropped in. So it's very helpful to look what it was like 500 years ago. There was no such thing as human beings sitting around. No. Human beings were running around like trying to find food and forage and build houses and they're digging so we have a very different life. And I'm not saying that we have to go back to digging huts and all that, but we have to understand that the human body was created to be active.
And it's easier today. You have the phone, you have the good grocery stores like Alfie Oaks. You can buy the good products, you can feel better. So you have to you have to eat healthy food so you can perform better in a lifestyle like that.
All of that, so and I'll just remind, I don't know how many people in your audience know who I am, but I've been an emergency physician for 25 years, but I'm also an attorney. So I look at kind of the big picture, but let's talk about the medical part first. Human beings need to fuel their body with healthy products. We have really a very difficult time doing that in America. I'll talk about that in a second. The other part is we have to keep our bodies active. Everything in our American society conspires against that right now because it's all fun to be in our head. And so when you're on your iPhone, you're really in your head. You're really just being sedentary, and you're kind of in a way having a dialogue with yourself. You're reading, but it's really all about you. That's not what a human being is. A human being is meant to get out there, interact with people, use their body, walk around, use their arms,
experience
things. How much happier are we all as humans when we experience things? There's a concept in medicine. We think of happiness and sadness, but there's a concept in medicine. Real happiness is actually a state of flow. It's called flow. And flow is when you're actively engaged in something and you get lost in the moment. So let's say there's a writer who's writing a book and he's really getting to a good part and he's writing. And he gets into that moment when he's really doing it. He can lose track of himself for hours. That's called flow. It's delicious. It's desirable. We've all had moments of that.
And it feels like minutes.
It feels like minutes. Yeah. So we want that in our lives. And you cannot get that when you're on social media all day. You can only get that from doing something yourself. It might be sedentary like writing. It might be selling real estate like you do. It might be seeing patients in an ER where you do, but it's something that you as a human are doing. And that gives you flow. And flow is it's a tremendous sense of happiness and satisfaction.
I feel it every day. Yes. And I know exactly what you're talking about.
If you love what you do, you feel it.
I do. I feel it when I wake up, when I run, when I'm with my kids, when I'm working, when I'm selling, when I'm even doing this. It's the people and the energy. It's a flow. I love that.
Flow. So I feel very bad, like teenagers and young adults, and older people too. You can't get that sense of flow. You might not even know what I'm talking about when you're listening to my words, but just imagine those moments in your life when you really lost track of time with whatever it was you were doing. You might have been at a party with friends, really enjoying yourself. That can be a moment of flow too, but it's something you're doing. It's something that you're accomplishing, you're moving it.
How do we change that? I see kids, like, again, my kids, me and my wife, she's very actively working against, that environment that we're surrounded with, environment where you have 90% of the kids are on their phone, playing games and being lazy.
Yeah.
It's sad to watch. So, we're staying active with our kids, exercise, we're going out all the time, walk,
Yes,
run, doesn't matter. Just engage with the nature. And I can see my kids are happy like I was when I was a kid. But 90%, I hate to say percentage,
Yeah.
it might be less or more, but a lot of kids there's obesity out there.
yes.
It's how we change that. It's almost, I'll talk to people and they'll say, Blaze, well, it's a revolution. It's changing. It's forever changing. You cannot do anything. And I hate that.
So
we gotta do something.
We do. We can do something. And first of all, we are humans. We're motivated by pleasure. The example that you gave is that your wife and you together have made an environment that is giving pleasure to your children. They're enjoying it. You're not dragging them off and whipping them, putting them in a closet. You are creating enjoyable experiences, and it becomes self-fulfilling. The first step, as we hear, is the hardest. The first step is the hardest. It is fun to sit on the phone and it's fun to sit on the couch and phone surf, right? It's fun. That's true. But it's also fun to get outside and do something. So it really is up to the parents, or if you're 18 years old, it's up to yourself to find that spark. It's like the lighter for the candle. You got to find that spark.
How do you do it when 5 other friends are not?
I'll totally get to that. But let's say you got that spark, then you go out and do something that will become self-fulfilling because it is enjoyable. Now, I am part of what I call hashtag team reality. Wow. It does take a spark. In your case, as parents raising children, you force the spark, you create the spark, you enable it. Much harder if you're 20, 25 years old and you're like just sitting around and like, how do you get that spark? And I'm here to tell you, we live in a broken world, in a fallen world, and you actually have to do something. Yeah. So if you're 25 years old and you're kind of bored with your life and you're sitting there, maybe you're a little bit overweight, male or female.
Yep.
I'm telling you, there is no magic fairy dust that's going to wave a wand
and make it
as you're sitting on the couch with your phone and make it happen. But if you can just hear my voice, take that 10-minute difference, put on your sneakers, put on your sunglasses, go outside, take a walk, and then come back and tell me that I'm not right.
I love it.
You have to provide it, but it's only about 10 minutes of energy that you have to give yourself.
Yep.
And then send us an email, or an email's so old fashioned, right?
No, you still send emails.
Click on here and tell us if we're not right. So give yourself that 10-minute spark. And parents, do this for your children. And good friends, honestly, should do it for each other. A good friend could say to you, and you could be that friend in the group that's like, no, I don't want to sit and just chat on the phone all day. I want to go walk on the beach. Oh my God, we live here in heaven. We live in Naples. Go take a walk. Just get outside.
I was recently with a great client of mine, now friend, from Eastern Europe. He visited Florida. He loved it. And we're sitting in a restaurant. He said, hey, let's go walk. I said, wait, we're sitting in a restaurant. I said, well, we just had lunch and, our wives are chatting. We don't need to sit. Let's go walk. And we're going to exercise for 30, 40 minutes. And we walk. We had such a healthy conversation while we were walking. Yes. And you just feel energized, and you don't feel, and I love that about this guy. I'm not going to mention his name for, some just privacy, but what a great way of thinking.
There's a couple things. So these are very old, centuries, eons old ideas that theologians, priests, pastors, rabbis always knew and advocated. So even I think it was Jefferson, our founding father, I'm not positive, said pretty much the best thing you could do for health is every evening after dinner you take a walk. So this is very try and true advice. So we're not talking about weight loss right now. We're talking about changing your brain, like the way your brain is feeding you. If every day all you did was take a walk after dinner, so you just need that initial 5 to 10 minute spark, put on your shoes, make a commitment, go outside, you will find, I think in 3 days at most, you're going to miss it, you're going to crave it, you're going to want it, it's pleasurable. You can go with someone, you can go without someone, but that taking you outside yourself, it could be you in nature or you conversing with a friend, will change how you see the world and yourself, and you will get more energy.
I love this. You see, so these are things we don't hear and see, and it's sad. You turn the TV on, nobody talks about this.
Interpersonal connection, as a physician, it's so sad for me, the lack of interpersonal connection. It is not a connection to have a Facebook friend. It is not a connection to watch TikTok videos and Instagram shots. It's not. It's you should look at it like eating ice cream. It's like a little bit of an indulgent luxury. You should not look at it as a substitute for genuine conversations with other human beings. If you, as a person, are not having multiple, at least small or medium-sized conversations with other human beings throughout the day, you'll eventually get depressed. Maybe not every day. Maybe some days are totally consumed with work. But most days you should be having few-minute conversations. So let's say you're alone or you're depressed right now. You're like, I don't really have any friends, whatever. It's so easy. This is what you do. When you go to the supermarket, you go to Publix, you go to seat to table, you smile at the cashier, you ask the guy walking in the aisle a question, right? You will discover they will smile at you. When you smile at someone and they smile at you, you feel better. Yep. And then you start doing it more. And all of a sudden, you're this friendly person. You didn't think you were a friendly person, but you are a friendly person. Yeah. Then you carry that on the street outside. There's all these free smiles that you can give, that you can get, will make you feel better. Your life will literally change by these small interpersonal connections that you make throughout the day.
Smile and the whole world will smile with you.
Yes.
I love that.
The question that I really wanted to ask you specifically is this idea of human connection. And you touched on it immediately. I had a conversation yesterday with my business partner, and we're sitting here and we're having a very in-depth, very passionate, very kind of like what would some people would argue is like a little bit of a confrontation, but it was all to get an understanding of where is this person coming from? Why are they like, and trying to fully understand it. We go through this hour conversation, we inevitably get there, and we're in this kind of flow state and I sat there on the phone and I go, this is what the people at large, whoever you want to pronounce as it, don't want. They don't want this connection. They don't want this unity. They don't want this understanding, both in the household with the male and the male, female, male, whatever, but in the household, in business, in everything. Why do you think it is the human connection aspect of it that they're trying to attack the most right now?
That's perfectly asked, and I have an answer. Human connection is what makes us happy. Like, I'm smiling, sitting here talking with you, both of you, having an authentic conversation makes me happy, makes all humans happy. If we can stay miserable, we're very easy to control. If you're in China, you're in North Korea, you're in even Iran, many certain aspects in the Soviet Union, right? You have to you know what it's like. You have to have kind of a neutral face. You actually walking on the street, you can see people think Americans always look so happy. We are just sort of oriented that way, but people in other nations have a flat affect. They walk around with flat because you can't give away your thoughts and feelings because you might connect with another human. Super dangerous. That person could report you, which keeps everybody nervous, on edge. And if everybody's nervous and on edge, it's way easier to control people. So it's actually our obligation to have a free society is to be happy. And that means interacting with other people. It's huge. One of the problems with the masks, and I was living in California at the time, is that when you blocked people's faces like this, how do you connect with humans? I tend to like to be alone, for example. I look very social, I'm able to be social, but I actually like being alone a lot. And I would hike in the hills, in the canyons. And of course, I'm not wearing a mask. I wouldn't wear it anyway, but especially not there. But I remember thinking, before when I didn't have the mask on, you would smile at this random human who's coming towards you, and they would smile at you. And you kind of just felt a small little jolt of happiness. Small, tiny, didn't change your life, but small, right? But you have multiple of those throughout the day. That is all gone. How much easier are we to control when we're unhappy? Think about yourself when you're unhappy, right? You're sitting in a corner, blue. You don't feel powerful. You don't feel empowered. You don't feel like you can push back on anybody because you're sad. You don't have energy. Happiness gives you energy. So they're trying to take away our ability to be happy, and our number one source of happiness, bar none, is interacting with other humans.
But why? Control over what?
It's
like,
always,
what's the end result?
Yeah.
Like, why to destroy the harmony we already have? And
those are really, they're really deep questions with multiple answers, but to keep it like on a shallow level, at the end of the day, it's always about controlling resources and money, right? It's always about stealing your labor. The reason America has been such a wonderful place to live for so long is we have these inalienable freedoms, but our inalienable freedoms, if you really look back what the founding fathers said, it was really to protect our labor and our property. That may come as news, especially to young people, Gen Z, right? Which is like they believe in socialism. But when you take away the fruit of someone's labor and you take away the reward that they get from the hard work, you make them dead inside. Because really, what is the point? I mean, kids there's no real child who's 5 years old who's a socialist. It doesn't exist. The kid wants everything. They want it for themselves. They want the candy. They want the lollipop. They want the love. They want the hugs. They want the gold stars. That's who we are as humans. The trick is not to pretend we're not that way by deadening ourselves inside. The trick is to harness it in a productive, societally useful way. Go out, be happy, find a business you like, work hard at it, have extra money, then give that money to proper places because charity is the most effective way to give away money, not the government. But it all starts with not feeling dead inside, feeling energized inside. And so the answer is if they can make you unhappy, they can control you more easily, and then they can take your labor without you noticing.
So this is the question. Oh my gosh, I feel so empowered right now.
You're happy, right? We're having a great conversation.
Fear. It is the main driver that they want us to feel. They want it to fracture us. They want us to consistently live in fear. Somebody like yourself that has enemies and has people that are actively working against them constantly. How do you and how would you recommend other people? Like we have fears. Yes. I was talking to Blaze just before and I'm like, hey, our business is going through this huge growth spurt right now. What am I stuck in? I'm stuck in fear of what happens if it doesn't work.
Yeah. What if?
Yeah.
What if?
Yeah.
How would you recommend somebody like myself and how do you personally take that fear on?
Amazing question. There's so many ways to look at this. First of all, everyone, myself included, has fear. I don't think I have less fear than other people, but I definitely don't let fear control me in any way. And in that way, I do think I'm different than most people. So I'm not living in a fantasy land saying there's no bad guys out there trying to hurt me, but I do very practical things. One is I'm aware of it, but it doesn't influence my decision. So like I kind of register like, oh, there's this thing that could happen and it's bad. And by the way, I don't know how much you know about me, but I've been through some pretty bad stuff. So I am always aware in a way that I didn't used to be aware that in my case in particular, the government may today or tomorrow right outside come and like sweep me away and disappear me. I didn't used to have that fear, for example, 5 years ago. So I do have fear, but it never crosses the line into what I do. I have so one, acknowledge your fear, but say to yourself, I'm a person with a brain and I get to decide what I do, not my emotions. 2, you have to know what the right thing to do is. You have to have an internal North Star. I'm actually a deep believer in God. I hope you are, hope others are.
Yeah, absolutely.
And therefore, so why doesn't the fear tell me what to do? It's because I actually know what I have to do. Once you've thought about it, you know what you have to do. Whatever that is in your life, you know what it is, and that's what you have to do. So your emotions are these things you observe, but they don't tell you what to do. You have to do what you know is right. End of discussion. 3rd, practical solution. I actually don't listen to most stuff. I actually don't watch the news. I don't read most social media. I don't care. Most of the stuff that is out there is just people chit-chatting and talking. It's their opinion. Great. Some love me. Don't listen to it. Some hate me. Don't listen to it. So big advice, big news flash. Don't listen to the haters. Don't listen to those who love you. Have an internal North Star. Follow it. Acknowledge that there's fear, but the fear is not in charge. You are.
Do your own thing. Believe in it and just go for it.
And lastly, I always need to say this. Fear is absolutely contagious. That was the purpose of the COVID years and the masks. Yep. But you know what else is contagious? Courage is contagious.
Happiness is too.
Happiness is contagious. And courage. That's why I do what I do.
For the 20-something year old, because in our business, you know, we were, and Blaze would probably, you have to put that internal North Star. So it has to be bigger than yourself. It can't just be for self-fulfillment. It has to be for the glorification of family, God, something along those lines, to that 24-year-old or to that 20-year-old that just is so lost in what can I do to get there? What would you say to them?
Really tough. And I remember being in my 20s. I actually think the 20s are some of the hardest years you'll have in your life. You were really protected until you're 18. Maybe it was a vague fear what's coming. And then when you're older and you know what you're doing, it's not so existential. But really, especially in your early 20s, mid 20s, there's a lot of fear. Like, you don't know, will you meet someone? Will you have work that you like? Will you have enough money to pay the bills? Are you going to get stuck in a dead-end job that you hate? There's a lot to be afraid of. I would say pursue your own happiness, not in a selfish way, but listen to what makes you happy. So I don't think everyone should go to college. Like, that's a strange thing to say for someone with 2 doctorate degrees. But do you like school? Are you very academically oriented? Or do you want to work and make money? Because if you work and make money and you apprentice yourself out as a lower paid person to somebody doing work that you enjoy, you probably are going to be successful. So I would say listen to what makes you happy and then have faith. Have faith that if you listen to your own insides, it will work out. That step, I think, is very important. It's very scary. It's very hard. The world is telling you to go A, B, C, D, E, whatever that A, B, C, D is in your family or your community. But you must listen to yourself, and then you have to take a deep breath and say, if I follow what I think is good, it will work out. That is an element of faith, and that is jumping off the cliff. Now, I will say simultaneously, the trick in life is to have enough money to pay your bills. That gives you the freedom. It doesn't have to be a lot. It doesn't have to be medium. It could be just barely over subsistence, but you do actually have to have a way to pay the bills or you'll never really be happy. I don't care if you're a trust fund baby with a rich parent or you're poor. If you can't be able to take care of yourself and you're able-bodied, you will not actually have happiness. So you have to develop a skill that people will pay for. It could be video, it could be podcasting, it could be selling, it could be support staff for somebody else, it could be public speaking like me, it could be writing, it could be laying bricks, it could be a traffic cop, but you must have something that someone will pay for. And if you're 25 years old and you're unemployed and you don't know where to start with what do I like? Do I like being by myself? Do I like being with people? If you like being with people, go get a retail job. Just go get a retail job. Take the money, smile at people, see how that feels. If you like being alone, see if you can write for a company. Companies are always looking for good writers. But try something, because if you don't pay your own bills, you're actually not really going to feel self-sufficient.
And that one door is going to open more doors and you meet more people.
You just have to start. And it starts with listening to yourself as the kind of human you are. Like, I wouldn't want to do the technical things to set up a podcast. I would be clumsy. I wouldn't be great at it. A lot of people are, but you got to try something. And I think the news flash is this is not politically correct, but I'm telling you, you will not be happy as a human being if you're not paying your own way.
And also, I 100% agree with you, Dr. Gold. And I was in my 20s and they were not easy. They were very difficult and challenging. I remember buying my first property when I was in my 20s. I used my last savings to put a down payment and it was scary. I still remember that fear. But now when I look back, it's joyful. Yeah. I found it as a great experience, that grinding moment when you're struggling and you're fighting with my life, and when you're trying to build something and you're building and you look back, you're happy. So I think the life, it will be that's a fantasy world if it's always nice and easy and smooth. The hard times make the good days better.
Yeah, I'm saying that you won't be fulfilled if you don't pay your way. That's the reason though, Blaze, is because the happiness in your life comes from when you believed in yourself and then you look back and you got something to be proud of in yourself. That's actually where happiness comes from.
I love, and you just poke something in me that I've never shared this with anybody before. My father and my mom, they're very successful back in Europe. I actually came here with $20. The reason why I came here, I wanted to prove everybody. My life was set there. My father's business still running there. I could have just inherited the business, work in his business. He built a nice big business that I could have been just all set. I felt that it's not my thing just to get something from somebody that somebody else built. I wanted to make sure I can prove myself first, that I can do it myself. And that's where I find my happiness.
So I want to share with you, this was a fun conversation, how deep this goes. If you want to challenge me and say, no, I could be really happy. I'm a trust fund baby. My parents have all this money. I have a big house. You will never be happy. There's a lot of religious experts, theologians, who look at the Adam and Eve story and the Garden of Eden. And one interpretation is, because we wonder, how is it that they just threw away the Garden of Eden? I mean, this is amazing. They just have this luxury lifestyle and they just throw it away. And one interpretation is that Adam had something inside of himself that's like, no, I've got to do something. I've got to, like, he was restless. You know, he had all this gift handed to him, but he's kind of restless. And I believe all of us inside of us have a certain restlessness to prove who we are. And just so I'm not misunderstood, it doesn't have to be about earning money. I certainly think if you're raising children, that's a productive way to spend your time.
Yeah.
But you have to be doing something.
We're inundated with getting as far away from that as possible. It's just the reality where we're, you know, I have family members that are relying on the government to save them, and they're sitting there and, you know, again, not something that I share actively, but my family, the other side of my family has, you know, been, you know, in kind of that poverty ridden, not happy, not aligned, there's this big shift in being able to be around people like you guys and know this and see this. Like, I'm getting the education right here, right now. That isn't available to everybody. Is it all intrinsically motivated, or is there any system or structure that we can build to rescue, you know, my cousin who passed away this year because he was in this trap, realistically?
Move to Naples.
You're certainly helped if your parents set a good example about hard work. But even listening to this podcast and accepting that getting a free meal is never going to make you happy. Just hear my words. It may fill your stomach for a few hours, but it will never make you happy. So you might think, I'm struggling to start this new business. I'm in my 20s. I'm scared. But if you don't go on that path, your other option is to sit on the couch, get a free meal, and be on your phone and not ever really be happy. The happiness comes from taking the leap, believing in yourself, and looking back and seeing what you did. Look to children for ultimate truths. So parents take them to the beach. And what does the kid want to do? They want to run all over, and then they want to build a sandcastle, and they want to build a moat, and they want to build a float, and they want to show you. Let's deconstruct that. The child did not want to just sit there. The child wanted to do something. He didn't want his friend to build it. He wanted to build it. And then when he was done with his masterpiece, he's so proud inside. And then he wants to share it for that human connection. Look, mommy, look, daddy, look, Bobby, look what I did. Let's take that as our starting point. So if you're 25 and you don't know what to do something. Get pride in it and happiness. Share it with another human. This will change your life. It is small, but I promise you this will change your life. This is the answer. It's not the paycheck itself that's the answer, right? Because you could get, free lunch at the soup kitchen. So it's not that you can buy yourself that soup. It's that you did it. That's the key to happiness.
Doing.
Love it. And by the way, there's many paths to success. It can be through academics. It can be through selling. It could be through teaching. There's many.
And it's okay to make a mistake too.
100%.
A lot of our listeners, I believe, in the youngest ones. Yeah, I did so many too. And I remember my first job. The manager asked me, "Please, you know anything about wine?" I said, "Yeah, I know." And he asked me, "Is a Pinot Noir red or white?" I said, "White." I didn't know anything about wine, but I learn and I make a mistake, and then life is joyful if you do things. Yeah. And every day, not just, I will do something tomorrow and I will start tomorrow. Procrastination, I hate that. And I've seen it more often, unfortunately.
Right now, if you're listening, you should stand up and do 10 jumping jacks.
Yeah.
Or as soon as the podcast is over, you should go outside and take a walk. Just do something.
30-minute walk. Yeah. Just do it. Mm-hmm. Do it right now.
And don't be afraid to take a chance. Really use your brain. Like, what is the worst thing that can happen? Like in your case, you didn't know about wine. The worst thing that could have happened is the guy outed you, he fired you, he thought you were foolish. Yeah. Like that's literally the worst thing that can happen.
It's nothing
scary. It's okay.
It's okay.
I'm reading The Laws of Success by Napoleon Hill, and this is all very synergistic with that. It's one of my favorite books of all time. I'm in one of the last chapters, and the chapter is on failure. And I don't know why, but it struck a chord with me and it made me fearful. Of course it did, which makes sense. But the idea of I have nothing to lose is that crux of when the fear of failure becomes so unbelievable, is people feel like they're afraid to lose something. Right. For somebody like yourself who built an incredible career for years and years and ended up becoming one of the top in your class, but you took a stance against something that, again, the fear of failure, the fear of losing everything that you built, how did you coach yourself through that?
You know, I would define it a little bit differently. So I think the thing people are most afraid of is a version of being unpopular, of being not liked. I think that's really it. I have half the world loving me and maybe a third of the world hating me, right? But I'm 100% the same person inside. I know exactly who I am. So it doesn't really affect me, doesn't really touch me. And I think if I'm blessed with anything, is I don't much care. I don't care that much what you think of me. I'm nice, I'm polite. I think I get along nicely with people. Yep. But at the end of the day, I know who I am. And it was very funny. I graduated medical school when I was 23. And I know that I don't want this to depress anybody who doesn't have a medical degree at age 23. I'm not saying it to brag or to make anyone else feel bad, but I was literally the youngest doctor in America at the time. I then went off to law school, Stanford University Law School, Juris Doctorate. I'm a lawyer, barred in a couple of states. Who does that? There's only a few thousand of us across the whole nation. I mean, I'm as high as you can get in the world of academia and intellectual thought, right? No sooner do I come out with my observation that the government and media is lying to us, then there's all kinds of articles written that I'm a quack. Now, if I defined myself by what other people thought, I would have absolutely fallen apart. If I defined myself as people don't like me or they do like me, I would have fallen apart. Mostly, I found it incredibly amusing. That's the truth. There was other stuff I didn't find amusing, but mostly I thought, how can anyone say anyone who graduated medical school at 23 and has a Juris Doctorate to boot is a quack? I mean, anybody who reads it with all seriousness is ridiculous. So what I'm saying is, I have 2 doctorate degrees. People are still saying hateful things about me. So if you don't have 2 doctorate degrees, just understand, if you do anything worthwhile in life, people are going to say mean things. It won't make any difference. That's what I'm trying to say. You can check all the boxes. You can go to med school, law school, MBA. You can have $10 million. You can have beautiful children. And if you do something that people don't like, people are still going to say mean things. Accept that, no problem. Does that help?
And I also think a lot. You got. My father used to say, "Put the blinders on, and focus on what you're doing. Yeah. Don't really care about what the people are saying around you." And I don't really. I always use this all the time. I care what I think about you, doctor. I really don't care what you think about me. So my opinion about you, it's more important for me than what do you really think about me?
That's very smart.
So I go with that with everybody I met.
I'm trying to share that, like, it doesn't. Here's another example. Bill Clinton, I'm older than you. So Bill Clinton from 1992 to 2000, right, was our president, was those years. He was very popular. So, I mean, very popular.
In the world, everywhere.
Across the world. Americans loved him. Yeah. He wasn't as controversial really then as now. He had a very charismatic way of saying things that wasn't offensive. Very well, everybody loved him. Whether you voted for him or didn't, loved him, right? Across the world in America. Yep. Okay, but right now, it's coming out. We all knew this, but it's coming out that, he was one of Jeff Epstein pedophile consumer, right? Yeah. So probably there's going to be negative stuff said about Bill Clinton. So you could be the most popular guy in the world, president of the United States, and when it suits other people to trash you, they will. That's all. That's it. So just accept that that's the human condition, to try to drag people down, sometimes justifiably, like with Bill Clinton, you shouldn't be having sex with children. Okay? No, that's a no-no, Bill. Okay? But like, you literally are taking, if Bill Clinton at the height, it was so popular, you can take him down from a social perspective. Of course they're going to take you down. Know that, laugh at it, move on. Stay laser focused on what you need for your internal North Star to be happy.
Is this how we're going to help the society though? Yes. That's the only way. So you focus on yourself, do the right thing every day, do something.
And you're energized. And if I do want to spread a message of joy, which is, where does the energy come from to do this? It comes from being happy. So do everything you can to make yourself happy. It's an obligation. And then your energy will multiply. And then you'll be able to make
self-love, right? So
self-love. And it means, self-love for me means respecting yourself enough to listen to yourself despite what other people say. I think that's what I think, which is that I like to jog, or I like to hula hoop, or I like to cook, or I'm a mom and I love to raise my kids. But whatever it is, listen to yourself and then get some accomplishment in that area. And then your respect for yourself and your affection and your respect for yourself will grow, and your happiness with you and the world will grow. That's how you change the world.
Do you believe in fake it till you make it?
I don't not believe in it, but let me say it differently. There's a very old song called Whistle a Happy Tune. It's from an old Broadway musical, and is the same concept, which is, I'm not feeling happy. And the advice was, you know what? Just start whistling a happy tune until you feel happy. So I'm not trying to fake it on someone else. I'm trying to convince myself. I have bad days too. You wake up and you're like, oh my God, I have this and that, so many bad things. But I know that the energy comes from the doing, and the joy comes from the doing. So you start whistling, and then all of a sudden you're genuinely whistling. So you fake whistling in the beginning, but next thing you know, you're whistling for real, and you have energy. You're not having to fake the energy. The energy, I promise you, will come if you listen to yourself.
What is a stronger energy source? The energy source of I am fighting against an enemy, or I'm fighting for myself?
The strongest energy source for me is I'm fighting for righteousness. For me, I'm fighting for inalienable human rights. It transcends me, and it's a really important question, because I think if I was fighting only for myself, I wouldn't have as much energy. And I do think that's why a lot of people stall. And I think I don't want to say to hurt our retail partners in Naples, but people spend a lot of time shopping, for example. I am very, very bored with shopping, because I think part of the reason is it's one more thing for me. Like, I just don't even find it slightly interesting. I think people run out of interest when it's only about themselves. So I think the strongest source of long-term energy, I wake up every day like super energetic, because I have a mission. And my mission is to preserve individual rights. Your mission might be something different, but it's not going to have lots of energy if it's only about yourself. If it's only like, let me go shopping today and find a dress, or let me make more money so I can buy a bigger house, you will run out of energy. Those are short-term goals, but that's not a long-term goal. Your long-term goal has to be bigger than you. Could be your family, could be faith, God, your country, armed services, other people, but it's not going to be you. You will not have enough energy every day, day in and day out, if you're only fighting for yourself.
It's egoistic too. It's selfish.
It's selfish, and it just gets boring for humans. It's why men want to have children. It's why women want to raise children.
Dr. Gold, you're one of the biggest patriots I know. And, we all live in Naples. We're so blessed. I think, Florida and just being in Naples, it's one of the best places to be right now in the whole world. How do we spread that happiness everywhere? When I close my eyes and I meditate, do you ever see the world's changing to better? I have kids, you have. Do you think our kids one day will have better, happier environment than what we're fighting against today?
I think the answer is unknown. We look back on history and it all seems so inevitable. And I sometimes say nobody wanted to be living in London in the 1940s. They're getting bombed all the time. It looks bleak. Americans didn't get into the war till late. It's terrible. But if Winston Churchill didn't get into the war, we would all be hiling right now, okay? So he took a leap of faith. He's a man too. Yeah. He didn't know for certain what would happen. But what will certainly happen if you don't fight is we will be defeated. And so if you surrender, you're dead forever. If you fight and lose, you will live to fight another day. So I know that we will eventually have a beautiful future. I do think if not when your children are teens or 20s, later on by another generation, it will be. We will certainly win if we keep fighting. The timeline is uncertain, but I have no doubt that if we don't fight for our freedom, we will lay down.
Do you think tougher fights are coming? This was just the warm-up, or you think it's...
I want to concentrate on some positive things. My specific lane was to prevent vaccine mandates from becoming law of the land. Had vaccine mandates, we been required to have an app on our phone that said if we had a shot, it would have eventually expired the COVID one. But the concept of showing like who you are to get into a restaurant, et cetera, would have been permanent. We have actually succeeded in many areas. There were many areas where they didn't take hold. So I am cautiously optimistic, surprisingly. I'm cautiously optimistic. And I like to remind people, and you may not know, it's commonly said that only 3% of people fought in the American Revolutionary War or supported. That's kind of shocking, like only 3%. So can you get 2%, 3% of people to like wake up? I think it's way more than that. The other thing is we still have strong states' rights. So I don't think Florida is going anywhere. So I'm cautiously optimistic. I don't think the fights ahead of us are much worse than what we've endured. We've endured some pretty bad things, and a lot more people are waking up.
Oh, yeah.
I would be cautiously optimistic, and I would vote.
So
encourage people.
I'm 24, he's 22. We're business partners. We're building a company. What has changed our company is when we put a North Star to it. So the mission of our company, educate and inspire the world, help world changers, people that are leading positive movements, give them the platforms to be able to do this. That's when our company changed. If we are in our 20s and there are people that are listening that are woken up, but they look at this fight and they say, I don't know that this is a fight that I can personally fight, and they're worried and they're scared, what do you say to them?
Oh my gosh. So first of all, you can't win if you don't fight, if you're not in the fight. One of my favorite quotes is a famous hockey star said, you lose 100% of the shots you don't take, or something like that. Wayne, it was something like you lose 100% of the shots you don't take. You should absolutely not feel discouraged if you're 24, 100% not. You should feel totally energized and energetic and say that I can completely change my world. First of all, you don't live in China. You don't live in China. In China, you actually can't speak out. You actually can't. You have so much freedom still right this minute in America. You can start your own business. You can figure it out. 100% you can live in freedom in your life, do something successful, and change the world around you. You don't have to change the whole world. You just have to kind of change the little world around you. That means being a good son, a good father, a good brother, a good friend, a good community, good neighbor. That changes the world. Do not underestimate the impact of one person to change things. You should read something if you're 25 and you don't know. You read something called the butterfly effect.
Oh, I love that.
The butterfly effect the short version is that if a butterfly flaps its wings in Africa, you feel the effects 5 continents away, that every little thing is connected. Don't tell me that a 24-year-old who doesn't know what to do with his life is not capable of changing things in his world, his home.
Don't wait for somebody else fight the fight for you.
100%. But the energy to do that, you've got like the devil here. Like, you can't do anything. You're not talented. You don't have money. You're lazy. You're not smart. You're just an average kid. That's over here, right? Yeah. Smash that down. And the energy comes from being kind of happy. How do you get happy? Go outside, take a walk, and think about what you like. What do you like to do? And then do something in that area. One step towards that.
And that's how you feed the angel. Yes. If you do those things, you feed the angel the devil's going to fade. That's amazing, Doctor. It's just thanks for sharing that with us.
Would you recommend for people to do very hard things? So, for example, if, Blaze, myself, and Ryan are running a half marathon next Saturday, basically, would you recommend people actively searching for pain and suffering in their life?
I love that question too, because we didn't talk enough about that.
I forgot about that half marathon.
You absolutely have to challenge yourself physically. I don't know why. I'm not God, but that connection between challenging yourself physically and releasing your emotional fears and your psychological fears is 100% connected. So I've gotten way more active in this last year, physically active. Yeah. I work out hard now pretty much an hour a day.
You still do your walks in the morning?
I do so much more than I used to be doing. Yeah. And I don't think ever in my life I've been as consistently physically active at such a high level as I am right now. I've taken up boxing, I've taken up biking, like I've do all this stuff, right? It has 100% affected my mood, my attitude, my energy, my outlook. You must challenge yourself physically. And it doesn't matter where you are. You could be really overweight, you could be obese, but you got to get your body moving. But you got to make it hard. Like get your body moving is a hard step if you haven't done that, right? So good for you. But every day, a little harder, a little harder, a little harder. There's tons of resources out there to find it. 100%. I don't really see how you can change yourself and then your immediate world if you haven't challenged your body. I do think you have to challenge your body.
I agree 100%. And I think the mistake most people do is they try to do things for results rather than changing their lifestyle. You have to just become this different person.
Change and find out what works for you. So like I'm a very competitive person. So I participate in things that challenge my body that are pretty social and competitive. So I guess I don't want to, I mean, I guess I could say Spenga. I do Spenga classes now, if you've never heard of it, but like there's a room of people and we're all biking and I'm sort of looking and seeing what other people are doing. Maybe it's not so nice, but you can see on the board and I'm like, I want to get better. I want to get better. I want to get better. But I know this about myself that's what moves me. And I think most of us probably have a little bit of competitiveness to get us going, but know that about yourself and then use it to your advantage. I use it to my advantage. I am not the best person in the Spenka class. I can definitely assure you that works to my advantage. You know, I want to be the best at everything. I'm not the best at Spenka. Gotta work harder. So it's like, take that natural sort of desire to excel, the natural sort of competitiveness that everyone has. And we were born like that, humans, and just use it to propel yourself a little bit more, a little bit more. I can tell you that if I was doing the bike, that is a stationary bike, most of it, at home, I would not work as hard. But there's something about like, oh my God, all these other people are working hard. I got to work hard. Use it to your advantage. Challenge yourself physically.
Not to jump off that topic, what do you look at when you look at the law of reciprocity? So the battle of I do something for somebody else, they do it back for me. So if you look at like the government, for example, just taking if they give us a government grant program, for example, they give us a base level income, something like that. We now, based on the law of reciprocity, feel indebted towards the government. How do you like look at that, and do you see that is the angle that the current system is taking?
I see that as keeping us in a very childlike dependency state, which is miserable as an adult. There's no adult that wants to be asking their mommy or daddy for permission for anything. That's it. Mommy, daddy are giving me food. Feels good when you're 8. Does not feel good when you're over 15. You want to do for yourself. Is it easy to sit on the couch and have mommy and daddy feed you? Yes, that's why we're all sort of susceptible to that. That's why we have to kind of fight it. But we are not happy like that. Do you want to go back and ask your mommy and daddy to feed you?
I actually cooked for my mom last night.
Yeah. And
I feel much better.
Good.
Yeah.
You feel good.
I cooked pasta bolognese. She was happy.
When the government is giving you a little bit of a paycheck, and by the way, they're not making you rich, right? It's very calculated. The amount they're giving you is just enough to keep you right here, not rebelling, not happy, not motivated. That's it. That's the amount that you'll get.
Oh my Lord.
A lot of stuff.
And like a drug addict, you wait every paycheck to paycheck to get that injection, and then you keep on and keep moving on. Wow. Well, this was amazing.
It's so fun.
Thank you so much, Dr. Thank you so much, Dr. Gold.
It was really fun.
We really appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Again, you're super busy, and it's an honor for us that you're here today.
Thank you. By the way, if anybody wants more health information, check out goldcare.com.
Okay.
Especially if you're young and healthy. GOLDCARE.com. It's amazing.
If people have questions, can they ask questions on that website? And
we're having a webinar next week to tell people about it, because we want to get people off dependency and their own answers.
So I was just going to ask you, because we're doing it in our company right now. We're worried about our health. We're all people that our entire organization were people that participated in COVID vaccine. Yeah. Take it as you may, but we're all a little worried. So as a company, we were deciding between whether we're all going to go get blood tests and then basically work with the companies that can tell us that information, or if we were just going to go get the largest panel blood test that we could possibly get, pay for that, and then go find the answers in terms of people that tell us.
We could do, I tell you what, we could do a whole show on this.
Okay.
There's so much information.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just
because it's scary, doctor. Like there's people that they're vaccinated and they're.
I know we could do it, and you know, Blaze, I will come back. It's super fun. I love to talk to younger people. I don't want them to live in fear. I want them to be happy and energetic. And there's so much to talk about, and it's positive. But I want to teach you a better way forward.
Okay.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you. Thank you so much.